There's no place like the Qube. Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Aina Deshawn, with our queer news for today. Now, I want to make you a promise. We will continue to bring you the latest in queer news, culture, and politics every Monday by 7 a.m. Chicago time. So, if you are digging our intersectional take on the weekly, consider joining the QCrew. The QCrew is our monthly membership program we started to help grow the podcast. You get weekly emails from me, exclusive interviews with LGBTQ influencers from across the country, and beginning this year, special behind-the-scenes footage too. With your support, we can bring you more stories celebrating our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and comrade communities. Click the link in the show notes to join the QCrew today. Don't have $5 to join the QCrew? It's okay. There's things you can do for free. You can rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend. Or two. Family. Black people in the South make up 38% of the population, but 52% of all new HIV infections. So why aren't we talking about it? I'm Aina Deshawn, your favorite queer radio personality. My co-host Dwayne Kramer and I will explore the shame, the stigma, and the solutions. This is Black HIV in the South. How did we get here? Tune in on the Qube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now for the news. After attending a church for 2 years, a lesbian woman here in Chicago was denied baptism. In Nashville, our LGBTQ fam do not feel safe following the mass shooting that took place at the Covenant School. The GLAAD Media Awards brought the stars out, and the NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship game was one for the ages. Now let's go.
Are you lost in your podcast journey? If so, you found the right podcast. My name is DJ Tracy Treese, and I'm a podcast producer. In partnership with the Qube, I'm bringing you the Lost and Found for podcasters. I've worked behind the scenes on some of your favorite podcasts, and I'll be bringing you some great conversations with podcast industry experts to help you find your way through your podcast journey. There's so much information out there, and the industry is rapidly changing. No need to feel lost. You found the right podcast. Subscribe to the Lost and Found for Podcasters now. Everywhere that you listen to podcasts, if you prefer your podcast in video, click the link in the description to subscribe to this podcast on YouTube.
You are now tuned in to higher frequencies. We do this frequently. Turn your radio station to E3 for that decency. Listen to great music and the latest movement. Safe listening for anyone that's tuned in. Who you waking up to? Aina Deshawn, QCrew and friends. It's that real talk. Online radio with the spins. You caught up in traffic, frustrated. Just check in with E3 to shift your vibrations and get elevated. That's queer radio done right. Choose to be yourself. That's the only way to live life, and that's how it's done here. Just know y'all tuned in to the greatest. Ain't no competition. We ain't worried about the other stations. Check.
Family, today we're going to start right here at home in Chicago. On March 12th in Humboldt Park, Rosie, a former member of the New Life Covenant Church, along with her allies, protested against the anti-LGBTQ practices of Pastor David Marrero. Now let me tell you what happened. Rosie, an out lesbian, had been attending this church for a couple of years and really built a community there. She had turned her life around and felt like the church had a lot to do with it. So much so, she wanted to get baptized. Well, the baptism was scheduled for February 26th, and she'd received an email confirmation from the church and everything. Everything was a go, okay? And Rosie was so excited, she went on Facebook and told her family and her friends to come out and support. What she didn't know was that her pastor would see that video. He later reached out to her on Facebook and asked if they could talk. She said yes, of course, And in that conversation, he asked her if she was married to a woman. And when she answered yes, he then refused to baptize her. He said he couldn't do it. And then, y'all won't even believe this. He then asked her to lie about it. He asked her to lie. Unbelievable, the audacity, right? Rosie refused. And when her friends learned what happened, they went into action and organized this protest. During the protest, Rosie accused Marrero of speaking down to people and rejecting those who do not fit his narrow view of acceptable sexuality. Many supporters drove by honking their horns, and the protesters chanted, "Love is love. Love is love. Love is love." However, there will always be some opposition, including one woman who came up to them and tried to confront them with anti-LGBTQ statements. Despite this, the protests remained very peaceful, and Rosie's story garnered support from many, not just on Facebook, but also ex-New Life members. This incident actually isn't surprising at all, but it is important to report on because church hurt is real. Church hurt can really cause irreparable harm, and it can drive people to all types of dark places. And for me, as someone who grew up in the church and who has what I consider to be a very close relationship with God and with Spirit and the divine, it is imperative that I tell you, God loves you just the way you are. And these pastors sitting in these pulpits don't have a hell to put you in. I just want you to remember that. Jesus never said one bad thing about gay people, ever. And I truly believe if it was that important, if it was that important in his 33 years, he would have brought it up. I digress. Family, I had the privilege of sitting down with Rosie to hear her full story. So if you want to watch it, you got to click the link in the show notes, okay? She had a lot more to say. And if you're in Chicago, the point of this story, on top of many others, is do not go visiting New Life Covenant Church in Humble Park. Let us move on to Nashville, Tennessee, where we know 6 people, 3 children and 3 adults were murdered in a mass shooting just last week. At this point, we've probably all heard the reports that the shooter, Audrey Hale, identified as trans, but the police haven't really provided any additional information as to why they believe that. Either way, the reports are out now, and our LGBTQ and trans fam in Nashville are not feeling safe or protected. In that vein, Nashville's LGBTQ community actually came together for a private meeting on Saturday to find solace and support amid growing fear and confusion in the aftermath of the school shooting. Safety concerns led to the location actually being kept secret from the public, with some of the members afraid to leave their homes due to threats. The gathering was originally intended to be a rally against a new state law that criminalizes some drag performances, but after the police identified the shooter as trans, the organizers changed the focus of the meeting to provide a space for healing. Reverend RJ, a trans community organizer, expressed concern about the violent and angry rhetoric against the LGBTQ community, saying that people were feeling, quote, devastated and, quote, emotionally exhausted. During this meeting, attendees comforted each other, shared poetry and music, and discussed their feelings. The only reason we can even report on this is because an NBC journalist was invited into the space. Many in the LGBTQ community have been the target of violent threats since this shooting, and organizers decided to postpone the march and hold a smaller gathering to ensure everyone's safety. The healing space provided by the meeting offered a moment of peace and hope amid the chaos and pain. And every time that I report on another mass shooting happening in this country, I continue to think about what history will say about us for not protecting our children and our families and our siblings against guns. What will history say? Because from where I sit, it's downright shameful. Let's move on to entertainment news. The GLAAD Media Awards took place on Thursday, March 16th at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills. If you don't know, the GLAAD Media Awards celebrates accurate and inclusive representations of the LGBTQ+ community across various forms of media, including film, television, journalism, comic books, and music. The ceremony was hosted by comedian and Fire Island star Margaret Cho, and the event was attended by several prominent LGBTQ+ figures and allies such as Zaya Wade, Gabrielle Union, Terrell, Isis, T.S. Madison, and many, many more. The event saw a variety of honors being handed out to deserving folks. And so let's talk about some of the big winners. Okay, let's start with Outstanding TV Series, right? The winner was A League of Their Own, which is on Prime Video. Who is a fan of A League of Their Own? Okay, both my hands and my feet are up, okay? Because we're the members of the All-American League. We come from cities near and far. We've got Canadians, Irish ones and sweets. We're all for one, we're one for all, we're all Americans. Each girl stands, her head so proudly high, her motto, do or die. She's not the one to use or need an alibi. Yo, I grew up with that. A League of Their Own was a story for people like me. You know what I'm saying? It is a modern retelling of the classic 1992 movie following the journey of an all-female baseball team in the 1940s. It's an inspiring story of women pushing boundaries and challenging gender roles. Do you understand how much that show was for me? The movie? So I love the remake. If you haven't seen it on Prime, definitely go do that. I think you'll really enjoy the take that they took, and I'm so glad that they won a GLAAD Media Award for it. Now, another big winner of the night was 911 Lone Star on Fox, which won for Outstanding Drama Series. Now, this show features a diverse cast and addresses important issues such as racism, homophobia, and mental health. Now, y'all know one of our favorites, Brian Michael Smith, plays an out trans man on the show, and it's so well done. So big congrats out to 911 Lone Star. At the GLAAD Media Awards, they also give special recognition, right? And so this year, special recognition went to Roth Angel on HBO, the comedy special by Gerard Carmichael, which if you have not seen, just fix that as soon as possible. I think he's absolutely brilliant in it. I really, really do. And last but not least, we also have to give mad love and congratulations out to hashtag Letters for Trans Kids. It's a social media campaign that encourages people to write letters of support to transgender children. Yo, this campaign received a special recognition award for its positive impact on the community, which was started by journalist Aina Freed. And we reported on Letters for Trans Kids the moment I saw it on Twitter because they were so impactful, so heartwarming. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't checked out the hashtag Letters for, it's actually the number 4, trans kids, definitely go do that. It'll do your heart some good. Congratulations to all the winners and all the nominees, right, of the GLAAD Media Awards. Only 15 of the 33 awards were announced. The rest of the winners will be announced in May during another ceremony held in New York City. And then the whole event will be available for streaming on Hulu beginning April 12th. It seems like it's a whole saga with these GLAAD Media Awards, so just stay close. We'll keep reporting on it. Because we need to know about the best LGBTQ+ affirming media out here. So if you haven't seen any of those shows, definitely go watch them. And we'll have a link in the show notes where you can go view the entire list of winners. Maybe you find your new favorite show, you know? For our final story today, it's all about the NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship game. The LSU Tigers clinched their first NCAA Women's Basketball title. Yesterday night, the Tigers were just better than the Iowa Hawkeyes, shooting an impressive 58% from the field in the first half, including a mind-blowing 75% from beyond the arc. Their 59 first-half points set a new record for most points scored in a half in a women's championship game, and y'all, they just never looked back. The Tigers were led by Jasmine Carson, who came off the bench and scored 22 points. She was on some type of fire, okay? Was a perfect 5 for 5 from the three-point line in the first half. Now, we all know, if you follow women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, okay? She is the truth. She had a game-high 30 points and set a new record for the most points scored in a women's tournament with 191. It still wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to overcome LSU's bench. And let's be clear, Caitlin put on a show. Her shot choices are inspired by Stephen Curry or something. They just have the same shot selection. But the Tigers' 102 points, which set another record for the most points scored by a team in a women's championship game, was just too much. Hall of Fame coach Kim Mulkey has her 4th championship, and she secured LSU's first women's or men's basketball championship in just her second year. Just her second year at LSU. Now, you might be like me and not be that big of a fan of Kim Mulkey, but you just can't deny she can coach. Congratulations, Tigers. Go LSU, let's go. We will end the podcast today the way we always do, with Anna's word. And my word for the day is actually coming from my mastermind book. And y'all know I read my affirmations every morning. And today's really blessed me. It says, I choose my focus. I choose faith. I choose peace. I choose love. That first part though, I choose my focus, is big for me right now. There are lots of things going on around me every day, quite literally. And my inboxes are blowing up across social media, my regular inboxes. So staying focused is crucial, and protecting my space is crucial, especially when there are deadlines to meet. Choosing your focus also means saying no to lots of things that you really want to do, which is so hard for me. I want to say yes to everybody, but saying no. I'm talking to you, saying no to things you really want to do because it is not going to serve the larger goal. So remember this affirmation today. Choose your focus, choose your faith, choose your peace, choose love. Till next week, family. Peace. If you enjoyed what you hear, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is a production of E3 Radio, your #1 queer radio station playing queer music and reporting on queer news in high rotation.